Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. Today we got some crazy news about Wuthering Waves, and well, they have been absolutely on fire in many ways, and which I'll get to in a bit. But I'm going to talk about what you should do with your free 5-star character selector, as well as some other good news coming to this game. So starting off with the crazy news here, we can see here at this post, let me try to zoom in a bit, but we have this post from Wuthering Waves on their Twitter. Dear Rovers, after yesterday's post, we have made new updates to share with you regarding our future plans for game improvements. We plan to make every type of story content skippable in the future updates, giving you more control over your gameplay. Most story content will become skippable in an upcoming update. So this is great, especially because the first few chapters, particularly the first 4 chapters or so, I found it pretty difficult to kind of sit through them, and Ling Yap's story was also quite tedious. But I will say in the final chapter of the story, so I believe Act 6, I played this off stream and I actually did not skip the story. I read it, and if I read it, that means that it's a big improvement. They are really listening to community feedback, which is absolutely huge, you know, coming from this company. Now, the next thing, the companion story for Resonator Yinlin will be available in-game soon. All right, that's fine. It's just an additional character story. We'll further enhance the in-game combat experience for more satisfying gameplay. Not going to complain about that. And this is the big one. We will be giving out Radiant Tide times 10, which is this one, which you use to pull on the featured character banner. And the big one, a free custom 5-star standard Resonator vouchers. And in case you are not sure who those characters are, they are Farina, Encore, Calcharo, Jianxin, and Ling Yang. So this is absolutely huge because now everyone can start off running with 3 entire standard banner 5-star characters. Now we also have a little bit of additional info here at this page that they linked us. So I'm going to zoom in a bit for you guys to see a little bit better, but they are just saying a bunch of stuff. They're going to do some hot fixes, and finally the Radiant Tide times 10, let me mute that, will be released on the 25th, tomorrow at 10 UTC plus 8. This is pretty much anyone that has reached Union level 2 or above. And finally, they are going to optimize the skip. Now, I'm not sure when they plan to implement this. So largely increase the number of skip support, skipping character dialogues outside of cutscenes and cinematics. So cutscenes and cinematics, not skippable, I understand. That makes sense, but at the same time, if you guys have played through the story, you guys know Scar is the cutscene Archon. Oh my gosh, you had to sit through like 20-30 minutes of his cutscenes. So it appears that that is mainly due to kind of a technical issue. I guess it's based on the way that they coded it or something, and not a huge deal. I mean, this is a compromise I am more than willing to take. I mean, I was fine with the way it was, but I'm not going to say no to even more quality of life. Now, optimizing the combat experience. Let's take a look here at what they mean by this. With regard to the issues that frequently come up in the feedback of all rovers, including the lack of signification of combat actions, lack of visual feedback of action impacts, poor controller combat experience, and visual blockage during the combat by environmental objects, we've scheduled dedicated optimization. And let me actually mute the general back there. He's distracting me. We have scheduled dedicated optimization of different combat scenes with the goal of improving the positive feedback for players in the combat experience. Additionally, we are also working on improving the functional support of controllers and expediting the support of customized buttons of controllers. Now, one of my bigger issues when it comes to combat is actually trying to wrangle the camera. There are times where the camera just does not cooperate, and I just want to be able to move the camera the way I want. But you know, it's okay. I mean, they're going to improve the game, and it's clear that they are working fast to improve the game too. Additional custom 5-star standard Resonator give back convene event, and this is huge. This is the 5-star character selector ticket that we are all going to get. After the launch, we have received much feedback across all platforms and channels regarding the beginner's choice convene. We're deeply sorry for the unsatisfactory experience the event has brought you. That's interesting because I guess people were complaining about the beginner's choice convene and they decided this is the reason why they're going to give us the free 5-star selector ticket. I mean, that's fine with me. I didn't see anyone in my community complaining about that, but perhaps, you know, communities in other regions of the world, maybe CN or JP, were complaining about this. At the same time, it does mean that complaints will absolutely get Kuro Games to kind of act upon something and change stuff. So that does give us, as the player base, a lot of power in that regard. So that's really interesting. Anyway, therefore, we plan to issue a special item voucher of reciprocal tides. Here they go with their random words combination, you know, to name stuff, which grants a free chance to obtain one 5-star standard resonator of your choice via in-game mail on May 26th, 10 a.m. UTC +8. So that will be tomorrow evening for those of us in the United States, and for the rest of the world, you guys can do your own conversion. And this event is available until for a long time. It appears, basically an entire year. So please watch out for our in-game announcement regarding the detailed event rules. Further optimizations are scheduled along with more fresh content. We've already scheduled further optimizations of the game and the development of new functions and gameplay elements down the pipeline. These include optimizations of the art assets of certain NPCs, a new layered map, display function, and more echo transformations. So they're saying the obvious here. They are going to add new content to the game. So now that we are all getting a 5-star selector ticket, who do I recommend pulling on that ticket? Now, a lot of my advice is based on the hard work that a lot of theory crafters did, like Rivenous, as well as Pridewind, as well as Leafa, who I forgot to credit directly in my video in my previous swap tech video, and they helped me figure a lot of that stuff out. So be sure to check them all out down in the description below. So we have these three characters as well as Calcharo and Verena. Now, I gotta be completely honest, if you haven't gotten Verena in either the standard, the beginner's banner, or the beginner's choice banner, she might just be a character that you do choose, because right now she is definitely the best support by a long stretch. So if you actually do care about your account power level, then you should probably select her. Now, in terms of the other two characters, because you will have a selector and 80 pulls, and you will also have this 5-star selector ticket, well, it depends on who you got in the first pull. So what I can tell you, though, is that there are a few teams that are cheating and calcing pretty well. So I actually want to start by talking about Calcharo. So we have Calcharo, and one interesting thing about Calcharo is that his current best team is not available yet, but once Yinlin comes out, she is going to be by far his best teammate. So until the 3-week mark of this game's release, I believe, which is when Yinlin's banner is coming, Calcharo won't have his best team. Now, Calcharo's best team will look like this. We'll have Calcharo, Verena, and finally Yinlin as the third character. So if Yinlin is the character that you want to pull for, and you manage to secure your Verena as well, then Calcharo will be the character that I highly recommend when it comes to utilizing Yinlin to her fullest. Now, the next character to talk about is Encore. Encore's current best team as far as calcs are concerned that, you know, we've calced, or in this case, Rivenous has calced, so link to his YouTube channel as always, because he's been doing a ton of theory and crafting for this game. So if you care about sweaty calcs and optimizations, go check him out. But we have Encore, Sanhua, and of course, Verena. You'll see a common trend here. And this team is actually pretty darn solid, actually, because Encore's ability to do swap backs really enables Sanhua to come in, do her stuff, get off, and for Encore to get a lot of buffs, because Sanhua's outro skill also gives a ton of basic attack damage, where a lot of Encore's damage does come from during her ultimate. And of course, Verena is literally the best support for every single team right now, so just keep that in mind that you're going to see this common trend. Now, I'm actually a little optimistic for him. I feel like he feels better in the release, but I can't confirm that for sure if he's actually better than he was in beta. But right now, he doesn't really have a best team at the moment. One of his better teams is actually looking to be Lingyang, Sanhua, and Verena, and it also happens to be a double ice damage team, which will be great once we finally have a tower that is suitable for ice damage. So everyone gets Sanhua for free on day 4 or 5 off the top of my head. And of course, Verena, for most of you players out there who are going to focus on one team in the early game, this is an incredible team that you will have access to thanks to having 2 5-star selectors. So Genshin is an interesting character where she is more of a grouper slash support, and you can replace some of these earlier teams with Verena with Genshin instead, especially in areas where you need to group enemies, like in Tower of Adversity, where a lot of enemies are spread out. You can group them up and then you can beat them up with this team. But she does not improve the damage of the team anywhere near in terms of just the raw damage numbers and output multipliers of this team in comparison to Verena. However, when you hit 2 targets, you're doing twice the DPS. And that is one thing that Genshin enables, is that she will be able to group up some of the enemies in order for you to actually AoE them down. So she is a good choice as well if you are already kind of set on your DPS choice. Now, of course, if you're going GN, his best team is this team currently, and also Alto is a viable substitute for him, and I'm sure you can run other things. So this is his current best team in terms of spreadsheet calculations. So this might help you decide who you want to choose if you have GN as well. Hopefully this answers a little bit and helps you decide which 5-star character you want to select. Now let me just change that real quick. And we can see a common trend, and we can see, some reasonable options for you to decide on your 5-star selector. Now, let me know down in the comments below who you plan to pull for the 5-star selector. I'm super curious to see what you guys are angling at and who you guys are going to go for. And be sure to upvote or comment as well, agreeing or disagreeing with other people's choices for the 5-star selector. And also say why down below, because other people can see why, and perhaps I've missed some reasonable reasons for selecting various characters. Now, of course, it always goes without saying, if you don't like a certain character, you don't have to play them. And that definitely applies to Verena. It applies to, Walmart Sephiroth, whoever you want that to apply to. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.